What if the greatest strength you have is the one you give away every day without a second thought? Not your time, not your money, something far more vital, an energy that once lost is incredibly difficult to reclaim, a foundation for your very being. Most will see the title and click away, uncomfortable or dismissive. But 99% of those who stay will miss the final connection at the end, the part that ties it all together. The cost of leaving now isn't just missing a few facts about your body. The cost is never understanding the hidden source of your fatigue, your lack of focus, your inner chaos, and the quiet desperation that hums beneath the surface of modern life. This is not about shame. This is about awareness, and what you become aware of, you can finally control. The river. Let us begin with a simple picture. Imagine within you flows a river. This is not just a metaphor for life, but a direct representation of your vital energy. This river is the source of everything you are and everything you do. When it flows strongly, with depth and purpose, your life reflects this. Your thoughts are clear, your body is strong, your spirit is resilient. You can build things, a business, a family, a skill, a work of art. You have the energy to carve new paths through the landscape of your reality. This river nourishes the soil of your entire being, allowing things to grow. It is the force that animates you, that gets you out of bed in the morning, not just with necessity, but with a sense of power and potential. It is the current that carries you through challenges, the deep water that remains calm even when the surface is disturbed by the winds of the external world. Now, understand that this river has a source, a spring, deep within the mountains of your physical self. It is a finite resource, in a way. While it is constantly being replenished through rest, through nutrition, through clean air and clear thoughts, the rate at which it is spent is entirely up to you. You are the guardian of this river. You decide where its power is directed. Does it flow outwards to irrigate a vast and fruitful garden, or does it spill out into the sand, lost forever? The modern world provides us with 1,000 channels, 1,000,000 little cracks and fissures, through which this river can be diverted and drained, often without our conscious permission. Every notification, every mindless scroll, every moment of anxious distraction is a small diversion of this precious flow. We are taught to spend our attention, our energy, as if it were infinite. But if you sit quietly and feel inward, you know this is not true. You can feel the water level. You know when you are running low. The purpose of our practice, of our awareness, is to become a conscious steward of this inner river, to learn its currents, to understand its power, and to seal the leaks that drain our life force away into the thirsty, empty deserts of triviality and fleeting pleasure. This is the first step, to see yourself not as a person who has energy, but as a person who is a current of energy. The health of this river determines the health of your entire ecosystem. When the river is low, the land around it becomes dry and brittle. The plants, which are your projects and your relationships, begin to wither. The animals, which are your thoughts and emotions, become desperate and scattered, fighting for the last remaining pools of water. This is what anxiety feels like. This is what burnout feels like. It is a drought of the spirit, a drying up of the inner landscape. Conversely, when the river is full and flowing, the ecosystem thrives. Your mind is a lush and fertile ground where new ideas can sprout effortlessly. Your emotions are like well-fed animals, calm and purposeful. You have the surplus energy to not only sustain yourself, but to nurture others. Your presence itself becomes a source of nourishment for those around you. The choice of where to direct this flow is the most fundamental choice you make each day. We often think our big choices are about career or partners, but the real choice happens moment to moment. Do I conserve and direct my inner river, or do I let it drain away? The act that is the topic of this conversation is one of the most significant outlets for this river. It is a powerful directed release. The question is not whether the release is good or bad, natural or unnatural. Nature has no morality. A river flowing to the sea is not a moral act. It is an act of nature. The question is one of consequence and cultivation. Are you consciously choosing to open the floodgates, and for what purpose? Or are the gates being opened by impulse, by habit, by a momentary urge that depletes the reservoir needed for the long, arduous, and beautiful work of building a life of meaning. To understand the prostate, we must first understand the river it helps to regulate. It is a gatekeeper, and you are the one who tells the gatekeeper what to do. The shocking truth is not a medical statistic. It is the dawning awareness of how much of our power we have been giving away, drop by drop, day by day, leaving our own inner world in a state of perpetual drought. This awareness is the beginning of the rain, the seed. Now let us move from the image of the river to something more concentrated, more potent, the seed. Within every living thing, there is the potential for new life. A tree produces a seed, and within that tiny, humble object is the blueprint for a future forest. It contains not just the material, but the intelligence, the life force, the potential to become something magnificent. This is an immense concentration of energy. Your body, in its wisdom, also creates a seed. This is not merely a biological fluid for procreation. From a deeper perspective, it is the physical manifestation of your most potent creative energy. It is the river concentrated into a single powerful essence. The ancient masters of inner cultivation in every tradition understood this. They called it by many names: Jing, vital essence, ojas, but the principle was always the same. This substance was seen as the very root of our physical health, our mental clarity, and our spiritual stamina. It is the wax of the candle. The more you have, the longer and brighter your flame can burn. To waste it was to shorten your own flame, to dim your own light. The prostate gland in this context can be seen as the workshop, the sacred space where this essence is refined and stored. It is the treasure house. Its health is not just a matter of physical plumbing. It is intrinsically linked to the quality and the quantity of the treasure it holds. When this essence is abundant and strong, the body is robust, the mind is sharp, and the will is formidable. When it is constantly depleted, the entire system suffers. Think of a farmer. He has a limited supply of his best seeds. Does he scatter them thoughtlessly on barren rock for a moment of satisfaction, or does he plant them in fertile soil, tend to them, and wait for the harvest? This is the choice we face. The daily, habitual release of this seed is like scattering your most precious resource to the wind. Each time, it may seem like a small thing, a single seed, but day after day, week after week, year after year, the granary becomes empty. And when the time comes that you wish to plant a great forest, to start a major project, to overcome a great challenge, to achieve a deep state of meditation, you reach into the bag and find nothing but dust. The shocking part is how this ancient wisdom is now being validated, albeit through a different language, by our understanding of the modern world. We speak of neurochemistry, of hormones, of dopamine cycles. The undisciplined release of this vital energy is a powerful neurological event. It provides a massive short-term flood of pleasure chemicals, followed by a state of depletion and fatigue. The brain, seeking to repeat this peak experience, creates a powerful habit loop. This is the very mechanism of addiction. We are training our minds to seek the most intense reward for the least amount of effort. This pattern then bleeds into every other area of our life. Why would you spend months working on a difficult skill when you can get a quick, intense hit of pleasure in minutes? Why would you engage in the long, slow, and sometimes difficult process of building deep intimacy with a partner when a fantasy can provide an instant release? We are, in effect, conditioning ourselves for short-term gratification and long-term impotence. Not just physical impotence, but a kind of spiritual and creative impotence. We lose the ability to delay gratification, which is the cornerstone of all meaningful achievement. The prostate, as a physical organ, sits at the center of this energetic and neurological drama. It is not just a gland, it is the seat of a profound power. When its function is constantly being called upon for release, the entire hormonal and energetic system is oriented around spending, not saving. The body's deep wisdom says, we are constantly losing our life force, so there is no point in building. The command center shifts from long-term projects to short-term survival and release. You may not feel it today or tomorrow, but the cumulative effect, the slow draining of the very seed of your potential, is the silent crisis happening within millions of men who feel tired, unfocused, and uninspired, and have no idea why. They blame their job, their diet, their age. They rarely look at the one place where their most potent energy is being systematically and thoughtlessly squandered. To reclaim your power, you must first recognize the value of what you are losing. It is not just a fluid, it is the seed of your future self. The garden. Let us now expand our view to the garden. Your body and your life are a garden. Your mind is the gardener. The river is the water source, and the seed is the potential for what can grow. A beautiful, thriving garden is not an accident. It is the result of conscious cultivation, of discipline, and of patience. The gardener must understand the soil, the seasons, and the needs of the plants. Most importantly, the gardener must be wise in how he uses his resources, especially water and seed. If the gardener allows the water to leak out, or pours it all on one small, insignificant weed, the rest of the garden will perish. If he throws his best seeds away, nothing of value can ever grow. This is the state of many people's inner worlds. Their gardener, their conscious mind, is distracted, asleep at his post. He is addicted to the fleeting pleasure of watching the water splash, so he keeps opening the sluice gate, draining the reservoir. He is not thinking about the harvest. He is not thinking about the future of the garden. He is only thinking about the momentary sensation. As a result, his garden is filled with weeds, anxious thoughts, compulsive behaviors, shallow desires. The plants he truly wishes to cultivate, deep focus, emotional stability, meaningful relationships, creative works, are starved for resources. They are yellowed and stunted, if they have sprouted at all. The daily release of vital energy is the gardener deliberately choosing to water a weed, the weed of instant gratification, at the expense of his entire garden. It seems harmless, it's just a little water. But the choice, repeated daily, shapes the entire landscape. The energy that could have been transmuted into building a business, learning a language, mastering an instrument, or developing profound spiritual insight is instead released and dissipated, leaving the ground barren. The prostate in this analogy is the very heart of the garden's irrigation system. Its health and function are paramount. When the system is constantly used for drainage rather than for careful targeted watering, the whole system becomes stressed. It is not designed for constant high-frequency output. It is designed to be a reservoir of immense potential, to be called upon for the most important of tasks, the creation of new life, or the fueling of profound personal transformation. This is where the trend of modern anxiety and the feeling of being stuck connects directly to this ancient wisdom. People feel they have no control over their lives. They feel a sense of listlessness, of being adrift. They try to fix this with external solutions, a new job, a new car, a new relationship, a new diet. They are trying to rearrange the withered plants in a dry garden, hoping it will somehow bring them life. But they fail to address the root cause. The gardener is asleep and the reservoir is empty. The shocking truth is that the path to a flourishing inner garden begins with the simple yet incredibly difficult act of stopping the leaks. It begins with the gardener waking up and realizing the immense value of the water and seed he possesses. This requires discipline. It requires saying no to the immediate easy pleasure for the sake of a much deeper, more lasting fulfillment. When you begin to conserve this energy, something remarkable happens. The water level in the reservoir begins to rise. The gardener now has a choice. He can begin to direct this water to the plants he truly wants to grow. The energy that was once dissipated in a moment of release can now be channeled into a 2-hour session of deep work. The focus becomes sharp, crystalline. The mental chatter, the weeds of the mind, begins to quiet down because the soil is no longer hospitable to them. You are no longer feeding them with scattered, frantic energy. You are nurturing the roots of concentration and peace. The health of your prostate is a reflection of the health of your garden. A stressed, overworked irrigation system in a barren landscape is very different from a strong, efficient system in a lush, thriving one. By learning to control this one fundamental release, you are not just influencing one small gland in your body. You are changing the entire climate of your inner world. You are becoming a conscious gardener of your own soul. And that is a power that no one can ever take from you. Let us be very direct about this process. Let us call it what it is: a leak. Imagine you are building a great ship. This ship is your life's work. It is meant to carry you across the vast ocean of existence to a destination of your own choosing. The ship is made of your habits, your beliefs, your skills, and your relationships. To build it requires wood, nails, canvas, and an immense amount of focused energy. Now, imagine that every single day you drill a small hole in the hull of this ship. Just a small one. It doesn't seem like much. The ship doesn't sink immediately, but the leak is there. Water begins to seep in. At first, you can easily bail it out, but you keep drilling. Every day, another small hole. Soon, you are spending more of your time and energy bailing water than you are building the ship. Your forward progress slows, then it stops. Now all your effort is consumed by the frantic, desperate act of staying afloat. Your dream of reaching a distant shore is forgotten. Your only thought is, don't sink. This is the reality of the person who is unconsciously and habitually depleting their vital essence. Each release is another small hole drilled in the hull of their life's potential. It is a slow, insidious process of self-sabotage. The shocking part is that most people are doing this to themselves and calling it normal. They accept the state of constantly bailing water, the chronic fatigue, the brain fog, the low-level anxiety, as an unavoidable part of modern life. They do not realize they are the ones drilling the holes. This leak is not just physical, it is psychic. It is a leak of will. When you cannot control this fundamental urge, you are training your entire being in the habit of submission to impulse. The part of your brain that is responsible for discipline and long-term planning, the captain of your ship, is being constantly overruled by the part that wants immediate, fleeting pleasure, a mutinous crew member. After a while, the captain gives up trying to steer. The mutineer is in charge. This is why so many other resolutions fail. You want to eat better, but you give in to the craving. You want to exercise, but you yield to the desire for comfort. You want to stop scrolling, but you succumb to the itch for another dopamine hit. All these failures are symptoms of the same core problem. The will has been weakened, the captain has been overthrown because of a constant fundamental leak in your self-control. The prostate itself, as the physical gateway for this energy, is caught in the middle of this constant demand. Think of it as a seal on a high-pressure valve. It is designed for powerful, intentional, and relatively infrequent releases. When it is subjected to the stress of daily habitual release, the entire mechanism is put under strain. The body's hormonal and nervous systems adapt to a state of constant expenditure. It's like running a finely tuned engine in the red, all day, every day. It might work for a while, but premature wear and tear is inevitable. The delicate balance of hormones that governs not just your sexual health, but your mood, your ambition, your muscle mass, and your mental clarity is thrown into disarray. The body enters a state of perpetual resource management crisis. It cannot invest in long-term projects of healing and strengthening because it is constantly dealing with the short-term demand of release. This creates a vicious cycle. The feeling of being drained and stressed leads to a desire for a quick release to momentarily feel better, which in turn deepens the state of being drained and stressed. You are using the very thing you need to build your ship as a temporary patch for the holes you yourself are creating. The only way to break this cycle is to stop drilling holes. It requires a moment of profound, honest self-awareness. It requires looking at the water filling your ship and finally admitting, I am the one doing this. This is not a moment for shame. It is a moment for empowerment. Because the one who is drilling the holes is also the one who can stop and who can begin the vital work of patching the hull and bailing out the water. When you make the conscious choice to stop the leak, you are not just preserving a fluid. You are reclaiming your will. You are telling the mutineer, no. You are putting the captain back in command of the ship. And for the first time in a long time, the ship can stop taking on water and begin once again to move forward. The vessel The body is a vessel. It is the container for your life force, for your consciousness, for your spirit. The quality of your life is determined in large part by the integrity of this vessel. Is it strong, solid, and whole, capable of holding the immense energy you are capable of cultivating? Or is it cracked, brittle, and leaking, unable to contain anything of value for long? The practice of conserving your vital essence is the practice of strengthening your vessel. It is not about deprivation, it is about fortification. It is the process of sealing the cracks so that the vessel can be filled. A vessel that is constantly being emptied can never become full. It is a simple, profound truth. Many people live their lives as leaking vessels. They pour energy in through food, sleep, and experience, but it drains out just as quickly through undisciplined habits, scattered attention, and the constant, thoughtless release of their core vitality. They wonder why they feel empty. They wonder why they cannot seem to accumulate any lasting sense of peace, power, or clarity. It is because their container cannot hold it. The prostate is a crucial part of the structure of this vessel, located at its very base. Its health is a barometer for the integrity of the entire container. When you are constantly draining your essence, you are putting a specific kind of stress on this area, but the effects ripple outwards, weakening the entire structure. The hormonal system, the nervous system, the psyche, all are diminished by the constant outflow. Strengthening the vessel is a holistic practice. It begins with the decision to plug the most significant leak. When you stop the habitual release, you take the first and most important step in making your container whole again. But the work does not end there. You must then begin to actively fortify the vessel from all sides. This means discipline in what you consume, not just food, but information and media. Does what you watch and read make your vessel stronger, or does it create more cracks of anxiety and desire? It means discipline in your physical practice, exercise that builds resilience and strength, that makes the clay of your body firm and resilient. It means discipline in your thoughts, learning to quiet the inner critic and the anxious chatter, which are psychic leaks that drain your mental energy. When the vessel is strong and whole, it can be filled. And what fills it? The very energy that you are now conserving. This vital essence, when not expelled, begins to accumulate. It is a subtle process at first. You might just feel a little less tired, a little more focused. But over time, as the level of this inner energy rises, it begins to transform the nature of the vessel itself. It's like pouring a powerful substance into a clay pot that slowly hardens and refines the clay. Your body begins to feel more vibrant and resilient. Your mind becomes calm and clear. Your emotional world, once a chaotic storm, becomes a deep, still lake. This is the transmutation of energy that the ancient tradition spoke of. The raw, creative energy, when contained and cultivated, rises up through the system and refines it. It moves from a purely physical, procreative force to a source of mental and spiritual power. The energy that could have been used to create a child in the outer world is now used to give birth to a new self in the inner world. This is not a mystical fantasy, it is a psychophysical reality. The resources that were being allocated to the glands and hormones of release are now reallocated to higher brain functions, to cellular repair, to the strengthening of the nervous system. You are literally rebuilding your vessel from the inside out with the very material you were once throwing away. The shocking truth is not about prostate disease in a purely clinical sense. It is that we have been living in leaky vessels, wondering why we are so empty when we hold the power to seal the cracks and become full. The power to transform your entire being, physically, mentally, and spiritually, begins with the simple, profound choice to make your vessel whole. Once it is whole, it can be filled. And once it is full, it begins to overflow, not with loss, but with strength, clarity, and a quiet, unshakable power that radiates from your very core. Let us now examine the state of the empty cup. Most of modern humanity is walking around with an empty cup, and they don't even know it. They have become so accustomed to the feeling of emptiness that they believe it is the natural state of being. This emptiness manifests as a constant, low-grade thirst. A thirst for something more. A thirst for excitement, for distraction, for validation, for relief. They try to quench this thirst with anything they can find on the outside: a new purchase, a fleeting romance, a social media like, a drink, a drug, or the momentary release of their own life force. Each of these things provides a drop of liquid, a moment of relief from the thirst. But it is a drop of salt water. It quenches the thirst for a second, but ultimately leaves you thirstier than before. And it does nothing to fill the cup. The cup remains empty. The state of chronic depletion of your vital essence is the primary reason your cup is empty. You cannot be full when you are constantly pouring yourself out. It is a law of nature. This emptiness is the source of so much of our modern suffering. It is the root of the quiet desperation that so many feel. It is the feeling of being stretched thin, of having no reserves, of being one small crisis away from a complete breakdown. It is brain fog, the inability to think clearly or to concentrate. Why? Because the brain requires immense energy to function at its peak, and your energy reserves are empty. It is emotional volatility, getting easily angered, frustrated, or saddened. Why? Because a stable emotional state requires a deep reservoir of energy to absorb the shocks of life, and your reservoir is dry. It is a lack of motivation, a feeling of why bother? Why? Because ambition and drive are fueled by a surplus of vitality, and you are living in a state of deficit. You have no surplus energy to invest in the future because all of it is being spent just to get through the present. The shocking part is the collective normalization of this state. We have built an entire culture around the empty cup. We market products to temporarily soothe the thirst. We create entertainment to distract from the emptiness. We even pathologize the symptoms, giving them clinical names and prescribing medications, without ever addressing the fundamental leak that is draining the cup dry. We are told that feeling tired, anxious, and unfulfilled is just part of being an adult. This is a profound and tragic lie. It is not the natural state of a human being. It is the state of a depleted human being, a human being who has forgotten the sacredness of their own energy. The journey of refilling the cup begins with a radical act. You must stop emptying it. You must guard the cup. You must recognize that the impulse to seek a momentary external relief is a symptom of the thirst, not a cure for it. The cure is to allow the cup to slowly, patiently begin to fill from its own inner spring. This requires a period of stillness, of conservation. At first, it is uncomfortable. The thirst will scream for its usual drop of salt water. The habits of a lifetime will fight back. This is the great test. Can you sit with the discomfort of the empty cup, trusting that by not seeking a false cure, you are allowing the true cure to emerge? When you conserve your vital essence, you are plugging the biggest hole in your cup. The inner spring, which is always there, can now begin its work. Drop by drop, the level begins to rise. This is not a quick fix. It is a slow, organic process of healing and replenishment. And one day, you will notice something remarkable. The desperate thirst is gone. It has been replaced by a feeling of quiet fullness. You no longer need to seek frantically on the outside because you are becoming whole on the inside. You are no longer an empty cup, desperate to be filled. You are becoming a fountain, inner stillness. When you stop the constant leaking of your vital energy, you are not just accumulating a physical substance. You are cultivating a state of being. That state is inner stillness. Think of a glass of water filled with dirt and sand. If you are constantly shaking the glass, the water is always cloudy. You cannot see through it. The dirt is always churned up, obscuring the clarity of the water. This is the state of the mind for most people. The constant seeking of stimulation, the habitual release of energy, the endless chain of thought. This is the constant shaking of the glass. The mind is cloudy, chaotic, and turbulent. You cannot see yourself clearly. You cannot see the world clearly. You live in a perpetual state of inner noise and confusion. This is why you cannot hear the quiet voice of your own intuition. It is why you cannot find a stable center within yourself. The water is too murky. The practice of conserving your essence is the act of setting the glass down and allowing the contents to settle. At first, nothing seems to happen. The water is still cloudy. The habit of shaking is strong. The mind still wants to churn. But if you are patient, if you remain still, a miracle occurs. gravity begins its work. The heaviest particles of dirt and sand, the grossest anxieties and compulsive thoughts begin to settle at the bottom. The water at the top begins to clear. This is the first taste of true inner stillness. It is not something you achieve by force. You cannot make your mind be still. You can only create the conditions for stillness to arise. And the most powerful condition you can create is the conservation of your core energy. The energy that was being used to shake the glass is now available to simply be. This conserved energy has a quality of stillness to it. It is a grounding force. It pulls the frantic energy of the mind downwards, allowing it to settle. As you continue this practice, the water becomes clearer and clearer. You begin to see things you never saw before. You see the patterns of your own thinking, the roots of your own emotional reactions. You see them not with judgment, but with the simple, clear sight of a detached observer. You are no longer lost in the storm. You are the calm space in which the storm is happening. This is the beginning of true self-mastery. The prostate, from this energetic perspective, is deeply connected to the root of our being, the earth element. When we are constantly agitating this root center, we are kicking up the dirt in our entire system. When we allow it to be calm, we become grounded. We feel a sense of stability and security that is not dependent on external circumstances. We have deep roots. This stillness is not an empty, lifeless state. It is a state of immense potential. It is the silence of the concert hall just before the music begins. It is the stillness of the master archer just before he releases the arrow. From this place of stillness, your actions become infinitely more powerful and precise. You are no longer reacting from a place of cloudy confusion. You are acting from a place of clear seeing. The shocking discovery is that the peace you have been seeking in the external world, through entertainment, through substances, through 1,000 distractions, was waiting for you all along in the stillness of your own conserved energy. The frantic search was the very thing preventing you from finding it. By stopping the one most powerful habit of expenditure, you allow the entire system to come to rest. The dirt settles, the water clears. And in that clarity, you find not an absence of life, but the very source of it. You find a peace that cannot be shaken, a power that does not need to shout, and a wisdom that arises not from thought, but from the deep, silent, and profound stillness of your own being. The fire. Let us now shift our understanding of this energy. It is not just water, a seed, or a substance to be conserved. It is also fire. It is your creative fire, your inner flame, the engine of your ambition and your passion. This is the fire that forges new realities. Every great work of art, every scientific breakthrough, every act of heroic courage was fueled by this inner fire. The choice you have is not whether to have this fire or not. You are born with it. The choice is how you use it. Do you use it like a matchstick for a brief, intense flare of momentary pleasure that quickly burns out, leaving behind a wisp of smoke and the smell of sulfur? Or do you learn to be a master of the flame, to tend it, to bank it, and to direct its heat towards a great forge where you can shape the raw material of your life into something strong, beautiful, and enduring? The daily habitual release of this energy is the matchstick approach. It is a quick, bright flare. It feels good for a moment, but it consumes the fuel. It is an act of consumption, not creation. After the flare, the fire is diminished. The creative drive is lessened. The ambition is cooled. You have spent the fire on a momentary sensation instead of investing it in a long-term creation. When you practice conservation, you are not extinguishing the fire. You are banking it. You are gathering the coals. You are building up a deep, intense, and lasting heat. This is the process of transmutation. The raw, instinctual energy, which in its unrefined state pushes for release, is contained and cultivated. This containment creates pressure and heat. This inner heat then begins to rise, moving up from the root of your being into the higher centers of your mind and spirit. It is the alchemical process of turning lead into gold. The raw, heavy energy of pure instinct, lead, is refined into the radiant, brilliant energy of creative genius and spiritual awareness, gold. The prostate can be seen as the hearth, the fireplace at the base of your being. If you constantly open the door and let the heat escape, the house remains cold. If you learn to regulate the flue, to manage the fuel, you can heat the entire house. The energy that would have been expelled outwards and downwards is instead directed inwards and upwards. This is why so many of the great creators, inventors, and spiritual leaders throughout history practiced some form of this conservation, either consciously or intuitively. They understood that to build something great in the outer world, you must first build a great fire in the inner world. They knew that their creative power was directly linked to their ability to manage this fundamental life force. This is the real secret behind the grind or the hustle that is so often glorified today. The people who can truly work with immense, sustained focus for long periods are not just disciplined, they have a huge fire. And they have it because they are not constantly poking holes in their furnace and letting the heat escape. The shocking revelation for many modern men is that their lack of drive, their creative blocks, their inability to stick with a project is not a character flaw. It is a consequence of a mismanaged fire. They are trying to run a great engine on a thimbleful of fuel. They have been taught to equate this fire only with sexuality, but that is its most basic, unrefined expression. Its potential is so much greater. It is the fire of life itself. When you learn to bank this fire, you will feel it. It is a sense of warmth and power in your core. It is a steady, humming energy that is always available to you. You are no longer dependent on external sources of motivation like caffeine or hype. You have your own internal furnace. You can direct that heat to whatever you choose, to your work, to your art, to your relationships, to your own inner evolution. The choice is yours. 1,000 brief, forgotten sparks, or a single great enduring flame that illuminates your entire life and warms everyone around you. This is the power of the fire within. The true power. What is true power? Our culture has a very confused and distorted idea of what power is. We associate it with external things, wealth, status, physical force, control over others. We think of power as something you take, something you exert upon the world. But this is a fragile, superficial kind of power. It is dependent on circumstances. It can be lost in an instant. The man who is powerful because he is rich loses his power if the market crashes. The man who is powerful because of his physical strength loses it as he ages. This is not true power. True power is not external, it is internal. It is self-mastery. And the foundation of all self-mastery is the ability to control your own energy. The man who can command his own inner world, his thoughts, his emotions, his impulses, is a man who possesses a power that no one can ever take from him. He is not easily shaken by the storms of the outer world because he is anchored in the bedrock of his own being. The practice of conserving your vital essence is the single most potent training ground for developing this true power. Why? Because the urge for release is one of the most powerful, primal, and instinctual forces in a man's life. It is nature itself roaring through you. If you can learn to master this urge, not by crushing it or denying it, but by consciously choosing when and how to engage with it, you have mastered one of the strongest forces within you. And if you can master that, what can you not master? Every time you feel the pull of habit and you consciously choose to conserve your energy for a higher purpose, you are casting a vote for your higher self. You are strengthening the muscle of your will. You are training the captain of your ship to be firm at the helm. This practice builds a deep, unshakable confidence that is not based on ego or external validation. It is the quiet, solid confidence of a man who knows he is in charge of himself. This is a stark contrast to the illusion of power that is often pursued. The man who constantly seeks release is, in fact, in a state of servitude. He is a slave to his impulses. He is a slave to his hormones. He is a slave to the dopamine loop in his brain. He may have all the external trappings of success, but inwardly, he is weak, chaotic, and not in control. His actions are not driven by conscious choice, but by unconscious compulsion. He is constantly reacting, never truly acting. The health of the prostate in this light becomes a symbol of this inner sovereignty. A body that is in a state of hormonal balance and energetic conservation is the physical reflection of a mind that is sovereign and in control. A body that is in a state of constant depletion and hormonal chaos is the reflection of a mind that is in servitude to impulse. The shocking truth is that the path to becoming truly powerful has nothing to do with conquering the world and everything to do with conquering yourself. And the battlefield where the most important victory can be won is within your own body, in the management of your most potent energy. When you make this choice, you begin to radiate a different kind of energy. It is not aggressive or loud. It is a calm, centered, and grounded power. People feel it. They may not know what it is, but they are drawn to the sense of stability and integrity you exude. You become a rock in the middle of a turbulent stream. This is true power. It is not the power to command others. It is the power to command yourself. And from that self-command, a life of purpose, clarity, and profound impact can be built. You stop being a leaf blown about by the winds of impulse and become the mountain that stands unmoved in the face of the storm. And deep roots. Let us use one final image. The tree. A great tree is a magnificent sight. It stands tall, its branches reaching for the sky, providing shade and shelter. It weathers storms, endures droughts, and stands for centuries. What is the secret to the tree's strength and longevity? It is not in its branches, which are visible to all. It is in its roots, which are hidden deep within the earth. The deeper and stronger the roots, the taller and more resilient the tree. The roots are the tree's foundation. They draw nourishment and water from the earth, and they provide the anchor that holds the tree firm against the wind. Your life is like this tree. Your outer achievements, your career, your possessions, your social standing are the branches. They are what the world sees. But your strength, your resilience, your ability to weather the storms of life comes from your roots. Your roots are your inner life, your connection to your own core energy, your spiritual foundation. The vital essence we have been discussing is the very substance of these roots. It is your connection to the deep, nourishing earth of your own being. When you constantly dissipate this energy, you are living a life with shallow roots. Your tree may look impressive for a while, it may grow quickly, putting out many leaves and branches. But because it has no deep anchor, it is vulnerable. The first strong wind of crisis, a job loss, a relationship failure, a health scare, can knock it over. The first drought of hardship will cause it to wither and die. This is the state of so many people in our fast-paced, superficial culture. They are all branches, no roots. They are focused on the outward appearance of success, while neglecting the inner foundation that provides true, lasting strength. The practice of conserving your vital force is the practice of growing deep roots. Every time you consciously choose to retain this energy, you are sending a root deeper into the soil of your own being. You are strengthening your anchor. You are building a foundation that can withstand any storm. This is a slow, hidden process. No one sees you growing your roots. There is no external validation for it. It is a quiet, solitary, and deeply personal work. But the results become undeniable over time. You become a person of substance, of weight. You are not easily swayed by the changing opinions of others or the fleeting trends of the culture. You have your own source of nourishment, your own deep well of stability. The prostate, as the physical center of this root energy, is like the taproot of the tree. Its health is indicative of the health of your entire root system. A stressed, depleted root system cannot support a great tree. A strong, vital, and well-nourished root system can support a life of magnificent growth and enduring strength. The shocking reality is that we have been encouraged to live as if we were plastic trees, all shiny leaves and no roots at all. We have been taught to sever our connection to our own deepest source of power in exchange for the shallow, fleeting pleasures of the surface. To reclaim your power is to begin the patient, vital work of growing your roots again. It means turning your attention away from the branches for a while and focusing on the hidden world beneath the surface. It means valuing inner stability over outer appearance. When you have deep roots, you no longer need to anxiously reach for things on the outside. You can stand tall in your own space, drawing strength from your own depths, and allow the fruits of your life to grow naturally and abundantly, you become a source of shelter and stability for others. You become a great tree, not because you tried to be tall, but because you focused on being deep, and in that depth, you find a strength that can never be broken. After the journey through the river, the seed, the garden, and the fire, we arrive at a place of ultimate simplicity, the clear sky. What is the state of being that results from all this practice, from this cultivation of energy and awareness? It is the state of a mind that is like a vast, open, clear blue sky. In the ordinary state of being, the mind is filled with clouds. These clouds are our thoughts, our worries, our desires, our fears. They are constantly moving, changing shape, and obscuring the blue sky that is always present behind them. Sometimes the clouds are dark and stormy, anger, grief, anxiety. Sometimes they are light and wispy, fleeting thoughts, daydreams, but they are always there and we identify with them. We believe we are the clouds. We say, I am angry or I am sad, not there is a cloud of anger passing through my awareness. This identification with the clouds is the source of our suffering. We are tossed about by the weather of our own minds. The conservation and transmutation of your vital energy is the most powerful way to cause these clouds to dissipate. As the energy is no longer being agitated and expelled, the inner weather system begins to calm down. The frantic production of thought clouds lessens. The storms of emotion lose their intensity. The practice of stillness allows the existing clouds to drift by and dissolve without being fed by more energy. And slowly, for the first time, you begin to experience the sky. You begin to realize that you are not the clouds. You are the vast, silent, and peaceful sky in which the clouds appear. This realization is the beginning of true freedom. The sky is not affected by the weather. A storm may pass through it, but the sky itself remains untouched, unstained, forever pure and serene. When you begin to identify with the sky of your awareness rather than the clouds of your thoughts, you gain a profound sense of peace and detachment. You can watch your thoughts and emotions arise and pass away without being entangled in them. You are no longer their victim. This clarity of mind is the ultimate superpower that this practice unlocks. It is far more valuable than any temporary surge in physical energy or motivation. With a clear mind, everything in life becomes simpler. You make better decisions because you are not operating from a place of fear or desire. You solve problems more easily because you can see the situation without the fog of emotional projection. Your relationships improve because you can listen with full presence without the constant chatter of your own mind interrupting. Your creativity flows effortlessly because it is arising from a place of open space, not from a place of striving and effort. The prostate's health in this final view is linked to the ground beneath this sky. When the earth element is stable, calm, and rooted, the sky above it tends to be clear. When the ground is in a state of turmoil and agitation, it kicks up dust that clouds the sky. By bringing peace to the root of your physical and energetic being, you create peace in the highest reaches of your consciousness. The shocking truth is not a secret technique or a complex doctrine. It is this: the potential for a mind as clear as the sky is your birthright. It is the natural state of your own awareness. We have simply been taught a lifetime of habits that keep it perpetually clouded over. The daily expenditure of our most precious energy is the single most powerful of these cloud-seeding habits. By ceasing this one act, you begin a process that leads inexorably to the dissolution of the clouds. You are not creating the clear sky. You are simply allowing it to be revealed. And to live under a perpetually clear inner sky is to live a life of profound peace, wisdom, and effortless grace. We have traveled a long way, from the river to the seed, from the leaking vessel to the inner fire, from the deep roots to the clear sky. Now we bring the journey full circle. We began with a seemingly small physical act, one that is often shrouded in shame, confusion, or casual indifference. We have seen how this single act is not isolated. It is connected to everything. It is connected to the river of your vitality, the seed of your potential, the garden of your life, the fire of your creativity, the strength of your will, the depth of your roots, and the clarity of your mind. It is not about a single gland, the prostate. It is about the entire integrated system of you, body, mind, and spirit. The path we have explored is not one of restriction or denial. To see it that way is to miss the entire point. It is a path of elevation. It is a path of conscious choice. It is about asking a single, powerful question. For what purpose? For what purpose am I spending my most precious resource? For a fleeting moment of sensation that leaves me depleted? Or for the long, steady, and deeply fulfilling work of building a life of strength, clarity, and meaning? The choice is not between yes or no. The choice is between low and high. Do you want to keep this incredible energy at its lowest, most basic, and most instinctual level of expression? Or do you want to learn the ancient art of raising it, of transmuting it into a higher fuel for focus, creativity, and spiritual awakening? This is the power that has been hidden from you, not by some grand conspiracy, but by a culture that worships the immediate, the superficial, and the disposable. We have been taught to be consumers of our own life force, rather than cultivators of it. To break free from this conditioning is the most radical act of self-love and self-respect you can perform. It is a declaration of your own sovereignty. This journey requires patience. It is not a 30-day challenge or a quick hack. It is a reorientation of your entire being. It is a commitment to yourself, to the highest potential that lies dormant within you. There will be days of difficulty. The old habits will call to you. The world will continue to offer you a million ways to leak your power away. This is where your practice, your discipline becomes your anchor. You are not fighting against your nature. You are aligning with your deepest nature, the part of you that yearns for wholeness, for stillness, for true power. The prostate is a physical organ and its health is important, but its deeper significance is as a symbol, a gatekeeper for the most potent energy you possess. To treat this gate with respect, with awareness, and with wisdom is to honor the sanctity of your own life. The final insight is this: the greatest power you have is not in what you can do, but in what you can choose not to do. It is in the conscious, deliberate, and loving act of containing your own energy so that it may build, refine, and elevate you from the inside out. The shocking truth is that the key to unlocking your highest potential as a man has been in your hands all along. It was never about adding something new. It was always about stopping the leak. It was always about coming home to the immense quiet power that is already and always has been right there within you. The greatest power is not in the release, but in the holding. Not in the spending, but in the cultivation. The choice is not about yes or no. It is about for what? For a fleeting moment or for a lifetime of clarity? The answer lies within the stillness you create. Which part of this journey hit the hardest for you? The leaking, the stillness, or the fire?